The Binner of Commercial Drive. The sun was just climbing over the corrugated metal awnings of the Commercial Drive Market in East Vancouver. The air was still damp. The remnants of last night's rain left the pavement slick, mingling the smell of damp earth, fresh kale, and salt water from the fishmonger's stall with the sweat of people who'd been working since dawn. Through the bustle, an old man walked slowly, pushing a rickety, overloaded shopping cart. His name was Arthur, or Art to the locals. He'd been a binner for over 20 years, making a living by collecting refundables from the market's bins and public receptacles. His clothes were worn, his trousers patched, but his face held a certain calm. He always greeted anyone he knew with a smile, even though life hadn't given him much reason to. "Morning, Art," called Mrs. Chen, the vegetable vendor he always stopped by. "Morning, ma'am." "Still kickin', eh?" Art replied lightly, hoisting a clear plastic bag heavy with bottles. Art's life was simple. His wife had passed 5 years ago, and his only son worked up north in the oil sands, rarely sending word. But despite being alone, he kept his dignity. He refused to beg. "As long as my hands work, I won't ask for handouts," he'd tell locals who offered help. The confrontation. But that morning, the market's usual buzz turned tense. A VPD, Vancouver Police Department, cruiser stopped abruptly at the curb. A large man in full uniform stepped out, dark aviators hiding his eyes. This was Constable Davis, known for his short fuse in the precinct. He had a complicated reputation. On one hand, disciplined and effective. On the other, many vendors feared his arrogance. He'd often berate people publicly for no clear reason, especially if he was in a bad mood. That day, Davis looked agitated. Whether it was trouble at home or a reprimand from his sergeant, his face was tight, and his voice sharp. Spotting Art picking a plastic bottle near his cruiser, he strode over. "Hey! What do you think you're doing here?" he snapped. Art looked up, startled but calm. "Just grabbing empties, officer. Not bothering anyone." "Don't give me that. You looking for something to swipe?" "We get a lot of your type trying that," Davis's voice boomed, making nearby shoppers turn. Mrs. Chen watched nervously from afar. "That's just old Art," she whispered to her neighbor. "I swear, officer. I'm just taking the recycling." "Not people's property," Art said, his voice quiet but firm. But Davis wasn't listening. He shoved Art hard in the chest. The shopping cart wobbled and a bag tore open, spilling its contents. Bottles and cans scattered across the wet pavement, rolling into the gutter. "See that? Just making a mess," Davis sneered, kicking a can that rolled near his boot. A few vendors started to gather. Some wanted to speak up but were afraid. "Leave it. You'll just get yourself in trouble," one muttered. Art looked down, his eyes watering. He knelt, picking up the scattered cans one by one. "Sorry, officer. I'll clean it up," he said softly. Instead of letting him, Davis kicked the shopping cart, tipping it completely over. "Don't play nice. You think I'm stupid?" Everyone fell silent. Only the sound of clattering cans and feet shuffling away from the disturbance. From a distance, a young man in a skip-the-dishes delivery jacket watched, his face tense. He had just dropped off a breakfast order at a cafe. His name was Liam. 25 years old. Liam was a nobody, but he had a fierce sense of justice. He'd grown up poor. His own father had been a binner before he passed away. Seeing an old man like Art treated this way made his blood boil. He walked closer, trying to keep his cool. "Officer, come on. No need to be rough." "He wasn't doing anything," Liam said, his tone careful. Davis wheeled on him, staring him down. "Who the hell are you? You want to interfere with an officer?" "Huh? Not interfering, sir. But everyone here knows Art. He'd never bother anyone. He's just working to get by. Liam's voice drew more attention. A few locals started to murmur. Yeah, that's right. Art's a good man. He wouldn't steal anything. We know him. This only made Davis angrier. All of you, shut up. I'm responsible for security here, not you. Furious, he looked Liam up and down. You think you're tough, eh? Kids like you, no respect. You want to challenge me? Liam held his breath. He knew the risk of challenging a cop in public, but seeing Art trembling by his overturned cart. I'm just telling the truth, sir. If you want to be an officer, you should be helping the vulnerable, not stepping on them. The crowd went silent. Davis stepped closer, his face red. What did you just say? Say it again if you're brave. Liam met his gaze. I said you're no hero if you're just bullying poor people. Without thinking, Davis shoved Liam hard. You little punk. Liam stumbled but kept his footing. But when he saw Davis kick Art's spilled bag again, his patience snapped. He grabbed Art's arm, helping him up. Sir, leave the cans. Let me handle this. Davis laughed cynically. You want to be a hero? Huh? Not a hero, sir. Just a person who knows the difference between right and wrong. That was like fuel on the fire. Davis swung a punch but Liam ducked. The blow missed, making Davis lose his balance slightly. People gasped. Hey, stop it, / the cops out of line. But before it escalated, a heavy voice cut through the noise from the end of the street. Davis. Stand down. Now. Everyone turned. An unmarked black sedan. A man in his 50s, in plain clothes but with an air of authority, stepped out. It was Sergeant Bouchard, Davis's direct supervisor. His stride was calm but firm, his gaze sharp. What disturbance are you causing this early in the morning, in front of everyone? Davis snapped to attention, suddenly nervous. Report, sir. Just handling a suspicious individual, looked like vagrancy. Bouchard glanced at Art, who was still trembling, clutching his bag. This suspicious individual has been collecting cans here for 20 years, Davis. You think I don't know who he is? Liam and the crowd exchanged glances. Relief and curiosity. Bouchard stared his subordinate down. You think that badge gives you the right to humiliate people? If you lose control in public, what's the difference between you and a common thug? Davis was silent, his face crimson. Bouchard turned to Art. Sir, are you all right? Art nodded respectfully. I'm okay, officer. Just my bottles. They spilled. Bouchard sighed. Collect them. I'll have someone help you. My apologies for my officer's conduct, sir. The crowd, silent until now, began to whisper. Someone was filming discreetly on their phone. Liam looked at Davis with disappointment, not anger. See, officer. You want respect, you earn it with your actions, not with force. Davis gritted his teeth, but said nothing. Bouchard motioned for Davis to get in the car. You're in my office this afternoon. We'll talk. The cruiser finally drove away, leaving the market tense but calming. Liam helped Art right his cart. It's okay, mister. Art. Don't worry about it. You did nothing wrong. Art managed a thin smile. Thank you, son. This world is strange. Sometimes the weak are seen as guilty, and the strong are seen as right. Liam smiled back. But there are still people who see the truth, sir. Still people who care. They sat for a moment on the curb, the morning air starting to warm. But they didn't know it was just the beginning. Because the video, showing Constable Davis harassing the old binner, was already starting to spread like wildfire on social media. And in a few hours, Davis's name would be all over the city. The redemption. 2 weeks had passed since the incident at the market. The city was starting to forget the viral video. But for those involved, it left a deep mark. For Art, life went on, but with a small change. He was no longer overlooked at the market. Vendors now saved their bottles for him. "Art, here are the plastics. Don't dig in the garbage, take these," a fruit vendor said, handing him a full bag. Art smiled. "Thank you kindly. But don't spoil me, or I'll get lazy." Everyone laughed. The market that witnessed his humiliation was now a place of mutual respect. But on the other side of the city, Constable Davis's life had changed drastically. After the incident, Davis was put on administrative desk duty, far from street patrol. No more cruiser, no more sharp commands, just stacks of paperwork and long hours behind a desk. Every time he walked into the precinct, some colleagues still looked at him sideways. Pity, but also judgment. He carried a heavy shame. He never imagined one terrible morning could destroy the reputation he'd spent years building. Every night, he remembered Art's face, forgiving him without anger. The old man's words echoed in his head: "Respect isn't about the uniform, it's about your actions." Davis realized he'd been so busy demanding respect from others, he'd forgotten to be respectable. He'd been lost in his own arrogance. One afternoon, sorting files, Sergeant Bouchard called him in. "Davis. Sit." Davis straightened up. "Sir." Bouchard looked at him for a long time. "I know you're struggling. But I also see you're trying to change. I'm glad to see it." "Thank you, sir. I realize. I was way out of line that day," Davis said quietly. Bouchard nodded. "Good. Because next week, we're doing a community outreach day with the Commercial Drive Market. We're building new recycling stations and planters, and I'm putting you in charge of coordinating it." Davis was stunned. "Me, sir?" "Yes. Consider this a second chance. Prove you can use your strength to help, not to intimidate." Davis took a deep breath. He knew this wasn't just an assignment. It was a test. The cleanup. The day of the event arrived. A bright, clear Vancouver morning. At the edge of the market, a banner read, "Community Cleanup, VPD and locals working together." Liam showed up in his delivery jacket, helping hand out water bottles. Art was there, busy sorting plastics that would be used for an upcycled planter box. When the squad car pulled up and Constable Davis got out, the atmosphere went quiet for a beat. Many recognized his face. There were whispers, hesitant looks. But Davis just walked forward calmly. He wasn't wearing his aviators, and his arrogant posture was gone. He looked at the group. "Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out to help." Art smiled slightly and stepped forward. "Well, look who's here. Glad you made it. It's a fine day for some good work." Davis paused, surprised by the warm welcome. "Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me back here." Art clapped him lightly on the shoulder. "You already apologized. Now it's time to show you learned something." Liam, standing nearby, chimed in. "All right, officer. Time to show us that muscle, not the attitude." Davis actually chuckled for the first time in weeks. "Roger that, boss." The event kicked off. Police and civilians worked side by side, cleaning the alleys, clearing drains, and building the planter boxes from recycled bottles. Davis got his hands dirty, hauling bags and hammering nails until his uniform shirt was damp with sweat. The vendors who were initially hesitant started to warm up. "Hey, the cop actually knows how to work," one joked. Davis just laughed. "Learning from the best, ma'am," he said, glancing at Art. Art chuckled. "Don't call me a teacher, or I'll start giving lectures." The laughter broke the remaining tension. The air, once filled with fear, was now warm. Near noon, during a break, Liam sat on the market steps. Davis sat nearby. "Liam," Davis said quietly. "That day, I was furious with you. I thought you were just trying to make a scene. Go viral challenging a cop. But I was wrong." Liam smiled. "I was pretty pissed off too, officer. But if that hadn't happened, we probably wouldn't be sitting here like this." Davis nodded. "Sometimes you have to get knocked down to realize you're no better than anyone else." It was quiet for a moment. Liam looked over at Art, who was sitting under a tree, sharing a sandwich with a small child. "Look at him, officer. A guy like that has almost nothing, but he makes everyone around him richer." Davis watched him. "Yeah. He's richer than all of us." As the afternoon ended, the market looked cleaner. The new planter boxes stood at every corner. Sergeant Bouchard arrived to inspect the work. "Good. Everything went smoothly. I'm proud to see you all working together." Art shook Bouchard's hand. "Thank you, Sergeant. It's good to see the police being part of the neighborhood." Bouchard smiled. "That's how it's supposed to be, Art." Davis, standing back, approached with a large bag. "Sir, I collected the rest of the empties. I wanted to give them to Mr. Art for his refund." Art looked at him and laughed. "Well, now you're helping me make my living." "Thank you, son." Davis shook his head. "Just call it paying off an old debt." A new story. A few days later, a new video circulated on social media. This time, it wasn't about violence, it was about collaboration. It showed Davis, Liam, and Art working together at the market. A local's voiceover said gently, "This market was once a place of division. Now, it's a place of healing." It went viral again, but differently. The title, "The Binner, the Bike Courier, and the Cop, a Vancouver Story." The comments flooded in. "This is real change, / from negative viral to inspiration, / now that's community policing." Davis read the comments on his phone, and smiled slightly. He didn't need public validation, but seeing the community trust him again was an invaluable relief. He texted Bouchard, "Thank you, sir. I won't waste this second chance." Bouchard replied, "I trust you won't. Keep going." That night, Davis sat on his porch with his wife, Jenna. The night air was cool. Jenna looked at her husband with a soft smile. "You seem different, Mark. Calmer." He nodded. "I realized. I was so busy wanting to be respected, I forgot to be respectable." Jenna took his hand. "The important thing is you see it now. Life always gives a second chance to those willing to change." Across town, Liam, in his small apartment, typed a message into his courier group chat. "Hey guys, next week we're doing a bottle drive with the market community and the VPD. Proceeds go to the Covenant House Youth Shelter." The replies were instant. "I'm in, / count me in, / awesome, Liam." He smiled. Change didn't have to be huge. One small, sincere act could change how people see the world. And at the end of the market alley, Art sat under a dim street lamp, tying up his bags of cans. He looked at the market, now cleaner and more vibrant, and whispered softly, "Well, what do you know? Sometimes the ones who knock you down are the ones who help you up. The world keeps turning, but a good heart never loses." He stood, pushing his cart slowly toward home. The old wheels rattled quietly.